Today, we're diving into an incredible new frontier, a place where artificial intelligence is literally learning to read and even rewrite our DNA. It's a story about the staggering promise of personalized medicine, but it's also about a desperate race for a cure, and the very real need for caution as we start to unlock these powerful new tools.
To think about that for a second. Could you code a cure for your best friend? It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? But this exact question sparked a very real and very personal mission for one programmer, and it's really at the heart of the huge technological revolution we're about to impact.
So, let's get right into it. Our story starts with one man's fight to save his dog. It's a journey that really pushed the absolute boundaries of what's possible when you have access to cutting-edge science.
This is Paul Conyngham, a programmer from Australia. And that simple, powerful feeling that he just had to do something is what drove him to take on a challenge that honestly most of us would find completely impossible. His beloved dog, Rosie, was diagnosed with advanced cancer, and the emotional stakes, well, they couldn't have been higher.
So let's just run through Rosie's journey really quick. She was adopted back in 2019, a Staffy/Sharpei mix. But then in 2024, she got this really grim diagnosis. And when traditional chemo, which costs thousands of dollars, completely failed to stop the tumor from growing, Paul knew that all the conventional options were off the table. That right there, that's the crisis point. That is the moment he decided to turn to technology and create a whole new plan from scratch. So how did he do it? I mean, how did a programmer, even one with 17 years of machine learning experience, fight back against something like cancer? Well, he basically assembled a digital toolkit, using some incredibly powerful AI systems that are just now starting to completely change medicine. Okay, so the first and most important tool in his arsenal was AlphaFold. This thing is an absolute game changer from Google's DeepMind. For decades, one of the biggest challenges in biology was predicting the super complex 3D shape that a protein folds into. AlphaFold basically solved it. And knowing a protein's shape is everything. It's how you understand what it does, why it's not working, and most importantly, how to design a drug to target it. Okay, so here's how he put all the pieces together. He actually used ChatGPT to help him map out the whole process. First, he got Rosie's complete DNA sequenced, both her healthy DNA and the DNA from the tumor. Then, by comparing the two, he could zero in on the exact genetic mutations that were driving the cancer. And then came the genius part. He fed that mutation data into AlphaFold to see how it was warping the shape of key proteins. This gave him a perfect target, a blueprint for a potential cure. And the result of all that work? A personalized mRNA vaccine. He worked with researchers to design it, using the same mind-blowing technology that's behind some of our own modern vaccines. The way it works is just brilliant. It gives Rosie's own cells a set of instructions, a kind of wanted poster for the unique proteins on her cancer cells. It essentially trains her own immune system to become a cancer-hunting machine. After months of this intense work, Rosie got her first dose.
You know, what's so amazing is that Paul's story, as incredible as it is, isn't just happening in a vacuum. This whole approach is moving way beyond just one person's desperate mission. It's becoming a powerful, scalable tool that is already changing veterinary medicine.
And to really get why this matters so much, just look at this number. 6 million. 6 million dogs are diagnosed with cancer every single year just in the United States. The scale of this problem is just enormous, and the need for better, smarter treatments is so urgent. And this is where the whole revolution really starts to scale up. You've got companies like Impromed that are right on the front lines, turning this into a real service. So instead of a kind of one-size-fits-all approach to chemo, they use AI to analyze a dog's living cancer cells, especially for really tough cancers like lymphoma and leukemia. They test those cells against a whole panel of drugs to predict which specific treatment is going to be the most effective for that individual dog. It takes all the painful and expensive guesswork out of the equation. And the results? They are real. For dogs with relapsed B-cell lymphoma, which is a notoriously difficult cancer, the standard treatment is a really tough road. But with AI-guided care from a company like Imprimed, the median survival time jumps up significantly. We're talking about months of precious quality time that these pets and their families get back. This isn't just some theory. This is the promise of personalized medicine happening in vet clinics right now. But, and this is a big but, here's where we have to pump the brakes for a second. This incredible power, this ability to analyze our own genetic code with AI, is becoming more and more accessible to everybody.
And with that access comes some very, very serious risks. It is absolutely crucial to understand that not all AI is created equal. The tools that researchers and companies like Inframed use are highly specialized medical AIs. They're trained on very specific, carefully curated medical and genetic data. A general AI, like ChatGPT, on the other hand, is trained on the broad, often messy, general internet. It's great at recognizing patterns in language, but it has zero clinical knowledge. And, worse, it can hallucinate. And that's just a technical way of saying it can literally just make stuff up. So, what happens when somebody tries to do this themselves, to use a general AI to analyze their own genetic data? Well, the risks are huge. The AI could easily misinterpret the results, causing someone to panic over nothing, or maybe it gives them false reassurance about a real risk. It could flag a totally harmless gene variant as dangerous. And on top of all that, there are the massive, massive privacy concerns about uploading your most personal data to a public platform. And this is exactly why the real experts are sounding the alarm. The official recommendation here could not be clearer. Any kind of genetic analysis that uses AI must be overseen by a qualified human expert. Technology is an amazing tool, but when it comes to medicine, it just cannot and should not replace the deep, nuanced understanding of a trained geneticist or a doctor. So, where does all this leave us? On one hand, we have this unbelievable story of hope and innovation. And on the other, a really serious warning about what can go wrong. Let's try to bring these two big ideas together. This really gets to the heart of it, the two sides of the coin in this new era. The promise of AI is just staggering, right? We're talking rapid drug discovery, treatments and cures tailored to our individual DNA, and empowering all of us with our own health data. But for every single one of those promises, there's a corresponding peril. Rushed science without proper testing, misdiagnoses from a flawed AI, and the very real risk of widespread misinformation and a complete loss of our genetic privacy. And that brings us to the final and most important question. There's really no doubt that AI is unlocking a future of personalized cures that we could only dream of just a decade ago. But as this power moves from specialized labs and into our own hands, the biggest challenge we're going to face isn't going to be a scientific one. It's going to be about responsibility. How do we build the guardrails to make sure this incredible revolution actually helps more than it harms?